Railways have been one of the key modes of passenger and freight transport since the mid-19th century and continue to play an important role. As technology keeps evolving with road, air and port infrastructure unable to handle the increasing number of demand in transportation sector, rail transport has been seen as a saving grace for the common man in Nigeria. While efficient rail transport requires suitable infrastructure, apart from tracks and traction elements, necessary buildings, infrastructures and technical equipment, especially functional radars, are expected to be put in place by the Railway Corporation and operators. The March 28, 2022 and January 8, 2023 attacks on Abuja, Kaduna and Igwebe Warri passenger trains, and the latest on January 22, 2023, being a train plying the Warri-Itakpe route that derailed, forcing many of the passengers to be stranded, have become a source of worry to many. Our guests will be looking at the rail transportation and matters arising. This is Nigeria Today, and I'm your carrier, Clinton. Welcome. Joining me in the studio is a transport consultant, Mani Ochuboju. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Also joining me is Roland Abtagoba. Roland is the Managing Director, Bethlehem Rail London, and member, Nigerian Rail Corporation Unbundling Committee. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'll start off with you, Roland. Walk us through this whole situation of the Warri-Itakpe train incident.
Thank you. It's an unfortunate development, but one that is not totally unexpected. Derailments are a common phenomenon in rail transportation. What you need to do is find out the causative factors and whether there is any human error or the likelihood of sabotage causing this particular incident. And until the investigators have got to work and come up with their findings, it's rather premature to start to speculate.
Okay, Mr. Madi.
Yeah.
Now, just barely 2 weeks after the Igwebe attack, train attack,
yeah.
And of course we've had one in March, just like, you know, the introduction,
yeah.
And now this. What do you make of this incident?
What I make of it is that it's unfortunate and it's becoming very regular. Yes, I agree with Roland, it's a common occurrence in the industry, but regrettably it's becoming rather too often, too rampant in Nigeria. I don't have the figures of it, but from what I can say, and the figures or the facts can bear me out, we have this kind of incidents on a weekly basis. And we don't even have enough railway lines and railway rolling stocks yet. So imagine if we have more. So to that extent, it should be something we should focus on, we should sensitize the public on, we should encourage the operators to try to minimize it by any legitimate means necessary.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roland, from the pictures, the videos we saw, you know, some part of the rail track being disjointed. Do you by any chance suspect any kind of foul play from your experience? So
It is possible. Broken rail is also a possibility. But then again, because we've had so many incidents of vandalization of track and infrastructure, it is difficult to rule out any possibilities. It is possible.
Now, Mani, you are a transporter consultant. What is the implication of this? You know, we were talking about the passengers and Nigerian citizen not kind of feeling safe in using the train system. And the train system in the past has been acclaimed one of the safest means of transportation. What is the implication of these attacks and, of course, the recent incident?
Okay, to start with, the rail operators have a legal obligation to ensure the safety of the persons that use their premise and use their rolling stock. That's a legal obligation. Secondly, even their goods needs to be protected and safe. Their health, their safety needs to be ensured when they are on your track or on your train. Secondly, it does not inspire confidence in the operators with this kind of regular derailment, detachment, abduction, terrorist attacks. It does not inspire confidence. It is a critical national infrastructure that should be protected. And I think additional effort should be made to protect it. It will impact on the fledgling revival of the railway industry. We don't even have water transport yet. It's not even working properly. The road, as you know, is oversubscribed. So rail is the natural option, especially for carrying heavy goods. And as it is, with this attack on it, it's also economic sabotage in a sense that impoverishes all of us.
Mr. Roland, you're a member of the Unbundling Committee of the NRC. What do you think the corporation should do more so now that Nigerians are so worried about these recurring incidents? So,
interesting question you ask. I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer that. One is, there's a recent development in the creation of the accident investigation agency, i.e. the expansion of the AIB to cover railways. It's positive in the sense that previously the NRC would be responsible for investigating this occurrence. And what then does happen is, because it becomes an internal matter, we never really get to find out the truth of what may have transpired. So when you take that away to an external body, it may be an avenue for us to learn important lessons and also to take measures that may prevent this. But essentially, one of the problems of the current structure of the NRC as an operator and regulator is the fact that it's the one that's checking itself, it's the one that's regulating itself, and therefore there are no checks and balances as you would get from some independent oversight. And so we're bound to see changes in the coming near future.
Yeah, thank you. We're bound to see changes in the near future. But earlier you said the recurring incidents will erode the confidence of the people, on the sector.
That's correct.
Now, what do you think that as a country we are not doing right in terms of the rail, the train system?
Wow. There's a plethora of things we're not doing right. As you would have heard Roland say many times before, first, the regulation of the industry, the integration of the operations and the operator jointly in NRC in itself is a recipe for inefficiency. It has conflict of interest and it makes it inefficient. That's one thing. Two, the issue of the concessioning have been inadequate. It's not been properly concessioned. Areas that we should have concessioned, we've not concessioned. So concessioning is one of the errors of the industry as it is, and we as a people have neglected. The issue of maintenance of the rail tracks is another problem. I was involved in a case where a contractor who was to work on the rail track said, having assessed it, that what we budgeted for it is not sufficient. and he will not be held liable for derailments or crashes if we don't improve on it. Then there are issues of even the management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation itself. How efficient has it been? What are the service deliveries? How well have they lived up to expectations? How well have they managed the resources given to them? I know they are not here, so I will not be critical. But given the constraints of our environment, I know they have their own internal constraints too. But I believe they could still have done better. And increasing the expanse of rail connectivity is something we've not done well. Okay. Yes, we've not done well. Just having Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, Maiduguri. Port Harcourt, Maiduguri is not even functional right now. So Lagos, Kano is what we are looking at. And even so, it's not even very efficient. Those are issues.
You think that would help?
Oh yes, it's not efficient. It's not efficient. Those are issues we're not doing well. We have the narrow gauge that is almost comatose as it is. Standard gauge, they are still building and rebuilding. Standard gauge, of course, would modernize it and enhance it. Those are things that we need to have a connect. We need to connect those dots and make it a contemporary, modern, intermodal railway system. Of course, we are neglecting airports, the connection with airports. We are neglecting the connection with waterways. We are neglecting the connection even to Apapa and Lekki and other ports that we are developing. Those disconnects are issues that we need to deal with.
Okay, Mr. Roland, you are the MD of the Bethlehem Rail London. Now, can you, give us a little bit of what is obtainable down there that we should, copy or replicate here in the country?
Well, number one, we have copied their system.
Okay.
What the NRC is a legacy of the colonial British Rail.
Well, is it working for us?
No, it's not. But they've modernized their system. They have deregulated it. And this is what the whole concept of unbundling is about. Except we're not in a hurry to do these things, largely because vested interests continue to hinder this progress. We've been trying to unbundle the railways for over 20 years, so it's not a new phenomenon. The laws were drafted in, I think, about 2003, but we continue to face obstacles to the progress, mostly institutional, because the NRC doesn't want to be unbundled. Self-preservation, you may say, but that's also a human factor, if you like. But that doesn't help us. We have an underperforming corporation that seems to consume huge amounts of money and delivers very little in return. And we continue to have these sort of issues to discuss. Suddenly, the Itakwe-Warri railway line wasn't ready to be put into service when it was done. It was done purely as a political gimmick, and this is what you get when the politicians take charge of these things.
Okay.
You would find that the business that should warrant the commissioning of such infrastructure wasn't in place. You need a functional port in Warri so that you're evacuating goods. Now, the steel plants that railway line was designed to service are not working. And so you've ended up moving passengers, and you're doing that suboptimally. So you don't make money, and what happens in that case is maintenance suffers, because you haven't got the resources to keep that line functional.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a break now, but when we return, you tell us what unbundling means and the benefits of unbundling. Let's take a break here, and we will be back with more insight shortly. Don't go away.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times Channel 101, Freak TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
news and more news.
Welcome back. This is Nigeria Today, and we are discussing rail transportation matters arising. And my guests are Ochubojo Man, a transport consultant, and Roland Atabuba, Managing Director, Bethlehem Rail London, and member Nigerian Railway Corporation Unbundling Committee. Now, before I go to you, Roland, I would want to know from Manny, considering our peculiar situation, in Nigeria, what do you think stakeholders should be doing now that there seems to be a lot of work to be done?
Stakeholders include the general public, obviously. And one of the things we need to do is to continue the sensitization of the public as regards railway safety. And also to try to restrain the increasing cases of vandalization. Some of the accidents, derailments, or even detachments that have happened arose from alleged cases of tampering with the tracks, outright vandalization. There was an incident in the southeast on a project we're working on. Some folks came with pickup truck and started removing these rail tracks and did remove them, but they were later arrested. And for them, it's a commercial enterprise. They were going to sell it as scrap. Those kind of things, we stakeholders, the stakeholders here are the public, the Nigerian Railway Corporation, the Nigerian government, and maybe some funders or some railway industry experts like my brother here, Roland. These are the key stakeholders, to keep it simple. So each one of us have our own parts. As a lawyer, one of the things we should do is to start suing and enforcing the rights of those who suffer losses, damages, or effects of derailment, detachment, delays, as the case may be. I say that as a lawyer because it's a neglect. These are cases of negligence, and people have relied on their services, and they've suffered loss. Some have suffered loss of limb. People die. Where there are derailments, people have been dying. So when lawyers begin to get involved, it will enhance the regulatory regime. Because it is now, NRC, when Roland will be talking about unbundling, are regulating themselves. And how do you regulate yourself well? When you are inefficient, when the regulatory regime itself is comatose. So I'm sorry to use those words, but that's what it is. So when lawyers get involved, when the railway users begin to enforce their right and know that they can be compensated. What happened in Itakwe? There are 148 passengers involved. Get lawyers. Get compensation. Bring the courts involved. It will enrich the regulatory environment.
Okay. I will stop you right there. Roland, earlier on, we asked what unbundling means and the benefits of unbundling to the train system in Nigeria.
Well, unbundling is it's another word for restructuring. And what it is to separate essentially policy making from operations and from regulation. So you have essentially the three main components of railway delivery. Policy is in the hand of the ministry. and it should stay there. Regulation should be independent of either of them, and operations should be with the Railway Corporation. Now, at the moment, you've got a mix of these functions. You have the ministry getting involved in developing railway infrastructure. At the same time, it's formulating policy. It has a railway inspector as well that's involved in regulation. You've got safety and economic regulation being done by the operator, being the NRC. So essentially, to unbundle all of that, you've got to separate them.
So how can it benefit our the rail train system in Nigeria?
Key benefit is in efficiencies, because then you have ability to develop better capacity, also specializations, and it's important, especially for the operations side, because railways have been failing for more than 60 years. It's not new. We've been struggling with the railways. It's gone bankrupt twice in its history, and it's currently insolvent because it can't pay its way. If the government doesn't give it any money out of the federal allocation, it can't function. Okay. It generates revenue, but it's just not enough. And that's because its operations don't keep up. Now, there are various strategies for delivering more efficient railways, but you first start with taking away those things that hinder its progress. And some of it is also because it's sitting on huge assets, a lot of which don't perform. It's got printing presses, foundries, factories, and all kinds of shops, hospitals. It's got its own police force. Some of these can be better managed in the private sector. And this is the purpose of unbundling the Railway Corporation. And it's the last of the Mohicans, if you like. We've done similar to the power industry. We've done it to telecoms, but the railways just seem to be stubbornly resisting reform, and that we must do. All right,
thank you, Mani. People believe, or Nigerians believe, that the security agencies need to do more, in terms of intelligence gathering to, prevent or curb these avoidable incidents. So, what do you have to say to that?
No, I sincerely agree. They have been justifiable criticism of the security situation in Nigeria, security operatives in Nigeria generally, especially as regards actionable intelligence and acting upon it. Yes, I agree. Though on this particular incident that happened in Itakwe, we understand that they rallied quickly and were able to kind of provide some kind of security and ring fence the area and ensure that they didn't get kidnapped and stuff like that. But that singular incident is not good enough. When you look at the recurrence of security-related issues where they are coming to kidnap rail users in the train station, that is alarming. And it adds to the already extremely poor security situation in Nigeria, which we need to look at and need to act upon. And there are things that they can do. They can increase the CCTV they use. They can increase the policing. They can increase the number of people that they deploy to work there.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that's Nigeria today. Thank you, Mani Ochuboju, a transport consultant, for coming.
Thank you very much.
And Roland Ataguba, Managing Director, Bethlehem Rail London, and member, Nigerian Railway Corporation Unbundling Committee. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And to you, our viewer, thanks for being there. And please keep up with the program every weekday by 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.